Coming up on Carolina Week, a new drug law makes it easier for you to be a good Samaritan to someone in need. We'll tell you how you can make a life-saving difference.
He was absolutely transcendent in the sports broadcasting world.
UNC alums have nothing but praise for a journalism legend. Find out more about a prestigious award.
Whoever said pigs can't fly has never been to the state fair. We have live coverage of all the fun. All that and more.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
An emergency meeting by the Board of Governors could mean major changes for the UNC system. Good evening, I'm CB Cotton.
And I'm Ben Smart. Friday, the board is expected to announce a successor for current UNC System President Tom Ross. The UNC System Board of Governors plans to vote Friday to bring in a new president. The current system president, Tom Ross, is resigning or being forced out, depending on who you listen to. Last week, the board interviewed Margaret Spellings, the U.S. Education Secretary under President George W. Bush. So far, Spellings is the only candidate who's been named. The board faced criticism for holding her interview in an emergency closed meeting behind doors. Some board members have blamed Chairman John Finnebresk for what they call the poor handling of the search process so far. According to the agenda for Friday's meeting, the vote will happen in an open session.
Can we call for help when we see someone who has overdosed from drugs or alcohol? The answer is yes. There's a law that helps us help others. This is how Chad Sanders remembers his sister.
Shelly was very sociable. She loved people. She loved interactions. She loved community. She was a dancer. She was very smart. She went to her last couple years of school. She was at a gifted school.
Shelly Sanders died on November 18, 2005, from something that shocked Chad and his family.
She died of an opiate overdose, but it was heroin. She died of heroin.
And when Shelly died, she was not alone.
She had been using with, she was seeing a guy that she was really trying to get out of a relationship with, but, you know, they were both, they've been using.
That guy would find Shelly unresponsive after they both injected heroin. Afraid of returning to prison, he waited 12 hours to call for help. In 2013, North Carolina passed the Good Samaritan law. Here's what you need to know. If you witness a drug or an alcohol-related overdose, dial 911. Be sure to give your name. If you or the victim has been drinking, even though you're underage, or you possess small amounts of drugs or drug paraphernalia, you will not be prosecuted. You can also administer the life-saving drug, naloxone, available in auto-injector, nasal, or syringe form. So far, the drug has saved 1,107 lives, but for Shelly, naloxone came too late. And for Chad, that makes this law bittersweet.
I mean, it makes me excited that it's saving lives now, but it's also like, wow, you know, that could have been my sister.
To obtain a naloxone kit, contact the number on the North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition About page.
Police are continuing to search for a hit-and-run driver who hit an elderly man and killed him. A vehicle struck a 79-year-old man while he was walking on Homestead Road. He later died from his injuries at UNC hospitals. The driver fled the scene. Police say the driver is a black man driving a dark brown sedan. He was heading toward Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard at the time. Anyone with information regarding the hit and run should contact Chapel Hill Police or Crime Stoppers. All calls are anonymous, and there is a $2,000 reward for information leading to his arrest.
A new North Carolina law will keep minors out of the tanning beds, but not in the kind you sleep in. Mackenzie Bennett tells us more about tanning restrictions for teens.
Gabby Dinsbeer has been tanning regularly since she was 14 years old.
I even remember one time I left school at lunch because I knew I wasn't going to have time to go after school to go to the tanning bed, so I took my lunch break and I went to the tanning bed.
Before she turned 18, Gabby had to get her parents' permission to tan, but now it's no longer up to the parents. A new North Carolina law makes it illegal for anyone younger than 18 to go to tanning beds because of the risk of skin cancer, a risk all too familiar to one UNC student.
I don't even remember what she said. All I heard was melanoma, and I was just like, what? Because I think that's also something that we think that like older people get.
Emily Morgan got the call after visiting a dermatologist. She had been tanning for only a year, but a year of exposure left her with a permanent scar on her back. She says the new law will keep younger girls from falling into the same trap she did.
You get good results, then you want to keep doing it, and it's just so dangerous.
But Dinsbeer says she liked having the choice to tan when she was young.
I still see a benefit to being tan. I think everyone looks, I think I look better tan.
Despite the benefit of darker skin, Dinsbeer says she knows the dangers now that she's older. In Chapel Hill, I'm Mackenzie Bennett reporting.
Only 2 of the 50 state senators voted against the new tanning law. They said they believe parents have the right to choose what their children can and can't do.
The UNC community is coming together to honor an alumnus and major journalism figure who passed away earlier this year. Stuart Scott, a UNC graduate and ESPN anchor, passed away this January after a long battle with cancer. This Friday, Scott is being inducted into the North Carolina Journalism Hall of Fame. The ceremony will take place at the George Watch Hill Alumni Center. The event will celebrate Scott's contributions to sports journalism and will lead into Friday's Late Night with Roy event, a tradition Scott hosted for 10 years. Stuart Scott was an inspiration for journalists and sports fans everywhere, but he held a place that's very special in the heart of those tied to UNC. Here's what several journalism school alumni had to say about Stuart Scott.
One thing that I always loved about Stuart Scott is that he wasn't afraid to be himself. And for me, that's something that I try to do in my own work. A lot of people can do highlights. A lot of people can do a news story. But being able to connect with your viewers is something special. And that's something that Stuart Scott did. And that's something that I strive to do in my work every day as well.
Stuart Scott may be the biggest reason I ended up at UNC. When I was 14, 15 years old, I would look up where all the ESPN on-air folks went to college. When I checked Stu's bio, that's the first time I learned of the journalism and mass communication prowess in Chapel Hill.
He was absolutely transcendent in the sports broadcasting world. Stuart Scott was a superhero to me in sports journalism, and I attribute him as to the reason why I get to do this every day.
And of course, there's never going to be another Stuart Scott, but I know that his spirit will live on in the hearts of sports fans everywhere. Best way that we can honor Stu is to strive to be the best at what we do and to always appreciate the people around us. Thank you, Stu, for making all of us better people, for knowing you.
So, Stu, your memory will never be forgotten, and I know you're going to continue inspiring people like myself for years to come. So rest easy, and as always, stay as cool as the other side of the pillow.
That's so special. Scott's legacy continues to inspire students and professionals, and the UNC community is happy to celebrate his life.
Let's go live now to Maddie Gardner, who joins us from the North Carolina State Fair. Maddie, going to the fair is a tradition for lots of North Carolinians.
CB, the North Carolina State Fair has a long history. It started in 1853 just east of Raleigh, but it's been here at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds for the past 87 years. More than 126,000 people flocked to the fairgrounds Saturday, making it the second largest fair day in history. Now, some people come for most of what you see behind me, but I come for this, the food. Check it out, deep fried Oreos. I'm going to see what else I can dig into here at the State Fair. CB, back to you.
Wow, Maddie, that looks delicious. We'll check in a little later with you during the program. How can three people have a baby?
Well, scientific advancements are helping people in all kinds of unions have children. That's next. In June, the U.S. Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage nationwide, giving same-sex couples a historic victory. Now the focus is on their families and the unconventional ways they have children. We followed one couple through several emotional weeks as they waited for the birth of their first daughter.
He's ready for it.
Baby Avery Grace came into the world on October 9th. Her parents, Mark and Jeff, had waited years for this day to come.
We are just a family like anyone else. I mean, we've been together for 15 years now.
married for 11 years, and we've reached a point in our life where we wanted to create our own family. These were actually from me, and those were actually from Jeff.
To create their family, Mark and Jeff used embryos from an anonymous egg donor.
The way we did it, we actually created an equal number of embryos. Half were created from me, half were created from Jeff.
5 days later, doctors transferred 2 fertilized eggs called blastocysts into the womb of another woman.
Just see it in their eyes so bad they want kids,
That woman is Tammy Barnes.
When you say like you're a carrier or you're a surrogate, people are like, oh, it's your egg. No, it's not my egg. Like, I'm just the incubator is what I say.
Tammy was the gestational carrier and gave birth to Mark's and Jeff's baby. Tammy and her wife used a sperm donor to have their daughter, Maggie.
People don't understand, but I just tell them, hey, like the whole reason I got into it is because we have a daughter who, from a donor, and so I wanted to kind of pay it forward.
After 3 egg donors and 2 rounds of in vitro fertilization, baby Avery Grace was on the way.
And at that point, we were successful. We were pregnant.
2 weeks before his daughter's birth, Mark couldn't believe he was about to become a father.
9 months has been positive overall. Just been more and more excited, and now the nerves start to kick in as you realize it's about to become reality.
Baby Avery Grace weighed in at 6 pounds, 12 ounces with 2 loving fathers. We checked in on Mark, Jeff, and baby Avery.
Hey there, good, how are you? Come on in.
6 days after she was born.
How does it feel?
It's incredible.
Finally parents?
Finally parents.
Well, everybody should be able to experience that first moment. When you first see your child for the very first time and hear that cry, that first cry, it's really emotional.
Yeah.
They say life with baby Avery is a dream come true.
Yeah, first night 4.5 hours of nonstop crying, screaming, and us trying to figure out, what does she need?
Tammy says she wants to be part of Avery's life as she grows up.
I love Mark and Jeff, and there's like family to me. It's so nice.
Tammy, the birth mother, is pumping breast milk for their daughter, and she plans to continue to be involved in Avery Grace's life.
It's getting cold outside. If you don't have someone to get warm with, you might want to head over to Carrboro. Carrboro tops Livability's list of best cities for singles. One reason the town earned this ranking is because it's full of single adults who like to go out and, socialize more than the average American. Carrboro has plenty of ways for singles to meet, whether it's at popular hangouts such as Weaver Street Market and the station, or through community events such as the Carrboro Music Festival. Carrboro is also ranked number 55 on Livability's list of top 100 best towns.
How do you get teens to tear into books? Well, let them physically tear them up. When you think of book appreciation, cutting books up isn't what comes to mind, but these teens got it past Tuesday as they turned old books into personal storage containers. The week has been full of crafting, writing, and reading to encourage teens to appreciate books. Tomorrow, the Chapel Hill Public Library will host a write-in, 4 hours of creative writing. And now let's get back to Maddie Gardner live from the State Fair to find out how the fate of one insect population is creating quite a buzz. Maddie?
At the State Fair, it's not all about rides and food. Some come for educational purposes. Anique Joseph tells us how one of the smallest creatures alive makes a huge impact on our agricultural economy.
I guess everybody is very interested in honeybees these days.
Bee Inspector Louis Cobble says the talk about bees disappearing is just that, talk.
It's really perhaps overblown a little bit. Our honeybees are not going anywhere. We certainly have challenges to honeybee health.
Challenges like loss of habitat, disease, and changes to their environment. While Cobble says colonies are lost each year, there is a way to replace them.
So if I lose a colony of honeybees, I can take another colony and I can split it 2 or 3 ways.
Maintaining a healthy honeybee population isn't the problem. Controlling mites that invade beehives is what Cobble says the media need to focus on.
They're almost never talking about varroa mites, which kind of burns my britches.
The varroa mite is an exotic pest introduced into the United States in the late 80s. Master beekeeper Pat Weisbrot has seen the effects on her honeybees.
And a summer bee should live 6 weeks long. And when their life is shortened, the whole house just sort of falls apart. Without the bees, we lose a lot of our food crops.
The real value of the honeybees isn't their honey, but the pollination work they do. They contribute mightily to the North Carolina's $78 billion agricultural industry. Cobble says sharing information about these complex and important insects is what he lives for.
And I think that's a big portion of what this part of the fair is about, just being able to have folks walking through, exposing them to these amazing creatures.
Creatures that make life better for all of us. At the North Carolina State Fair, I'm Monique Joseph reporting.
I learned today that the State Fair remains the only place where you can buy honey from all regions of North Carolina.
That's Maddie Gardner live at the State Fair. And Maddie, remember the rule here. Bring back food. Thank you.
The bright sun and cool temperatures are perfect for walking around the State Fair or campus.
Well, how long will that last? Drew Day has your forecast next.
Welcome back to Carolina Week, everyone. I'm Drew Day. Thanks for staying with us. We'll start off this evening with a look at the current temperature out at Williams Airport at 74 degrees. And the dew point is at 40, and 74 is as high as we've been all day. So 74 will likely be our high now that the sun is beginning to set out there. And we were able to warm up into the mid-70s this afternoon simply because of all the sunshine that we have sitting across the state right now. And that's all thanks to an area of high pressure that's centered over North Carolina right now. With areas of high pressure, they provide large-scale subsidence, so that prevents any clouds from being able to form out there. And it also allows temperatures to warm up as well. So you get sunny skies as well as warmer temperatures thanks to the sinking air. So that's why we made into the 70s today. But we are watching a front off to the west. That's the cloud mass that you see here, and it will be cooling us down later on in the weekend. But for this evening, we'll still have that high pressure system centered over North Carolina. There is the front lining up off to the west. And as you're waking up tomorrow morning, that high pressure is still upon us. So that means we'll be waking up to temperatures in the lower 40s as you start the day with light winds across the area. And even by tomorrow evening, that high pressure sticks around so that finally by the time you wake up Friday morning, that front is just on our doorstep, getting ready to cross through North Carolina, and it will finally sweep through the area during the day on Friday, and that means we'll see cooler weather for the day on Saturday. We'll see temperatures fall by about 10 degrees as we get a northerly wind component get to come back down into the state, bringing in cooler air from the north, and then finally we'll turn our eyes to another front sitting off to our west by Saturday evening, but it'll be a couple more days before that front arrives here, if it arrives at all. Still some questions with that front there. But it's the final weekend of the State Fair, so if you're headed out, temperatures will be in the upper 70s for the day on Friday. Plenty of sunshine. We saw Maddie out there earlier. She was enjoying the fun out there. You can as well. A little cooler for the day on Saturday because of that front moving through. Also a few more clouds in the sky, but feeling more fall-like if you prefer that. And then temperatures will be in the mid-70s once again for the day on Sunday. So it'll be just a short cool down. So overnight tonight, temperatures falling down into the 40s with clear skies and light winds. That's a recipe for a cold evening. We may get down a little cooler than that. And for tomorrow afternoon, we'll warm up into the upper 70s with plenty of sunshine once again and light winds. And for tomorrow morning, as you're waking up, we'll start off in the 40s, so you'll need the jacket once again with a cool start to the day. But we'll warm up quickly, already into the 70s by noon, and then we'll be back down to the 60s by 8 p.m. Perhaps a few clouds developing in the middle of the day, but they're certainly not going to produce any rain or block out any of the sunshine. And then the 5-day forecast showing that one-day cool down for Saturday at 66 will also be cooler to start the day on Saturday at 48 and Sunday morning as well. But like I said before, we'll quickly warm back up into the 70s for Sunday and Monday. So it's just a short cool down and no rain in the forecast. So overall, just some great weather.
Well, this seems like pretty sweet weather for the State Fair. So with that being said, I've got to go get a candy apple, sweet treat.
Yes, you will have to go to the State Fair.
Yeah, I'll head out there too and get some of those fried Oreos that Maddie was enjoying earlier.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks, Drew.
You're welcome.
So where did you spend your fall break? The beach? At school?
What about the metropolis of Lincolnton, North Carolina? We take a look at the L-Town Shrine to UNC Sports when we come back.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Kendra Douglas with sports. After suffering its first loss of the season at Wake Forest on Sunday, the men's soccer team came out with vengeance against Campbell. Carolina smoked the Camels, scoring 6 goals, the most the team has scored all season. Warren Marshall led the way with a pair of goals, his first 2 of the season. The Heels are now 12-1-1 and will host Louisville on Friday at 5. When it comes to the Carolina football team, what a difference a year makes. Carolina's 5-1 so far in 2015. That's much better than the team's 2-4 start last year. New defensive coordinator Gene Chizik has revamped the defense from a year ago. Last season, the Heels gave up 43.3 points per game through 6 games. Now, only 17.3 points per game. Good for the 20th in the country. UNC is also making gains on the ground. Through 6 games last year, Carolina averaged less than 150 yards per game on the ground, Thanks to star running back Elijah Hood, the Heels are rushing for a whopping 218 yards per game this year. Running so well has to be fun, right? Here's how Hood describes his dominating performance so far.
But yeah, running through a guy is amazing. Yeah, it's really good. Because it just demoralizes them. I mean, I ran over you. I ran right through you.
What do our students do during fall break? Our Brett Thompson stopped by a mini UNC Sports Museum in his hometown of Lincolnton during his time away from campus.
The Carolina Basketball Museum stands as the world's biggest shrine to UNC athletics. To find possibly the second biggest one, you'd have to travel 166 miles to Lincolnton, North Carolina.
Lincolnton is a small town in central North Carolina, home to many unique places, like the Barbecue King. Not just one, but 2 different McDonald's. Or hey, there's even a super Walmart here. All of those are great spots, no doubt, but one of Lincolnton's hidden gems comes in the form of a dentist office.
When found out that there was some flooring from Woolen Gym, I decided that I would purchase some floor and put it in my reception room.
Dr. John Cloninger III's office is a mini UNC museum. The waiting room floor is just part of a large collection of Tar Heel memorabilia, including original paintings, autographs, and even Larry Miller's 1968 ACC tournament MVP plaque.
Patients love it. I wanted patients to just be able to look and just spend time just looking at some of the old Carolina history.
Cloninger's office stands not only as a tribute to Carolina athletics, but as a testament to his dedication to a university so dear to him.
You know, long time, hopefully I'll die in Kenan Stadium, you know, in section 127 row JJ. Maybe we beat Duke or something in the last field goal or something. So it would be a perfect day for me.
It's clear that Dr. Cloninger is both a Tar Heel born and a Tar Heel bred, and that he plans to be a Tar Heel dead, just not anytime soon. In Lincolnton, I'm Brett Thompson reporting.
You know, speaking of basketball, this Friday is Late Night with Roy. Now, last year, Kennedy Meeks killed it with his performance by Whitney Houston.
Did he hit the high note? Did he hit it?
He definitely did, and I think it'll be very interesting to see what he does this year.
Well, that will definitely be hard for the boys to top this year. Thanks, Kendra. Farm animals and fried food, no, we aren't going to the North Carolina State.
We're going back to the NC State Fair after this.
Maddie Gardner joins us again live from the State Fair. Maddie, what kind of mischief are you getting into now?
CB, the only thing that's getting into trouble today is my waistline. The history of the State Fair is captivating, but it's making new memories that keeps people coming back year after year. We've had an awesome time today. Why don't we take a look now at some of our favorite moments?
Is everybody ready for pig racing out here?
This little piggy went to the market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy raced at the fair. And this little piggy won.
Number 14, your winner!
From fast farm animals to Ferris wheels to fried food, the State Fair has something for everyone. What can these guys fry?
Bananas, cinnamon rolls.
What you're looking at is a fried brownie sundae, complete with powdered sugar, whipped cream, chocolate drizzle, and a cherry on top.
Whoa, mama, yeah, There you go, thank you.
All this fried food can make a fairgoer feel 1,024 pounds, as big as this blue ribbon pumpkin.
The The state fair runs through Sunday evening, so there's plenty of time for Carolina students to come out, ride some rides, enjoy some food, even take home a stuffed animal, maybe even watch those pigs.
Thanks, Maddie. Seems like she's having a blast. What do you say we go to the North Carolina State Fair after this?
Let's do it. I'm a huge roller coaster fan, so I'm in.
Wonderful. Sounds great. Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching and have a good night.